that you can't over the phone or anything like that. I mean, because there's something that I used to be kind of upset about because people consider me kind of motherly, and even though my age was very close to them, they'd kind of talk to me like they like I could take care of them in some way, and that used to annoy me because I was like, no, I'm just like you, like let me just be like you. But then I realized that was actually a great strength, that they were able to trust me in that way, that they were able to open themselves up to me in that manner. But I don't think they would have done that had we not been in the room together and I hadn't spoken to them and shown them with my vibe that I cared about them in a real sense. And I think the distance, using all of the technology, actually can make it feel less personal. Now, that being said, all of the work that you do, there could be 100 messages that would be easily communicated with a training video. And if you wanted to do that, yes. But sometimes I would say, no, I need to be in front of you. I need to look in your eyes. Yeah. I need to touch your hand.
Well, and I think that goes to what we were talking about too, like in a room full of people. Yeah. It's like I learned, because at first I was very adamant. No, you have to be in front of me. You have to do this. You have to do that. And then I thought about all those different people in the room and where they are. And one of the things of improv that I absolutely love is its allowance, is its acceptance about where people are. So it's like, no, Donna, you have to practice what you preach. It's about meeting people where they are. So not everybody is going to be ready for that intense eyeball to eyeball opening up to you kind of thing. And so that's what's kind of opened me up to saying, like you said, okay, well, some of this may be, just getting those people who maybe aren't ready for all that intensity or to open up to you, to learn to trust and to learn to work with the skills and the tools on a much less deep basis, or just meeting them where they are. It doesn't have to be, you're not going to be for everybody, and you're not going to work with everybody as deeply as you are with some, because they just don't want it. And that's fine.
What's the kind of group size that you normally work with? Or
I usually my top to really get some results is 20 at a time. Okay. I don't like to work with more than 20 if they really want to dig in. It's and I can speak to a room of 300. I mean, I've spoken to, shell town hall meetings of 300. Sure. And they get what they get. And you can only work with them to a certain level, and then if they want something, they want to get down and dirty. That's kind of like I like to work. I like to get in and wrestle with. Okay, what's really going on here? Why aren't you getting what you want, even though you're saying all the right words, or you think you're saying all the right words? Why aren't things working out the way you want to?
Right.
You want them to.
Well, in the larger groups too, there's less personal accountability, I think, that people feel too. Right. Even at a TED Talks, somebody's playing Pokemon Go in that giant crowd, somebody's not They know nobody's looking at them, so they are not going to. They don't, they don't feel as pressured. That number that you said, 20. That's pretty good. Bright lights, everybody can see each other. People are kind of put on to at least allow information in more so, because they don't want to be the one guy who's not doing that, too. So those closer, more personal things make them. Yeah. Want to try to listen more, I think, unless they're just the fawns, unless you just have that that one.
And then
cool
you
guy.
you have less of that apathetic energy in the room too. You have less
absolutely.
of which when I started doing corporate work way back when, it was like you couldn't even use the word energy. Yeah. I mean, it has come so far.
I bet.
you know, that even...
And now it's synergy.
Yeah.
It's evolved.
Yeah, it's
but
evolved a lot.
That's a term that I'm more than well familiar with because it's actually a musical term, and it's the same thing that y'all have whenever you're on stage and you're in the zone and you just know where your partner's going.
Yeah, it's like
and it's an odd, strange energy that happens between people that are cooperating together, and I have found it mainly because I've worked with jam bands as an audio engineer. So I had
the spirit of that.
I had to physically know their body language and know where they were going with something before they went there in order to do my job for it to come out of the speakers right.
Yeah.
So
you're part of the band.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know?
I'm physically playing the sound system while they're doing stuff.
Right.
So and you can definitely feel that synergy when it happens and when it washes over the crowd to the back of the booth.
I love the idea that like these corporate workshops are like, we need to promote synergy. Just like the Grateful Dead. Now let's try to mimic their...
Yeah.
Because you're right, you're very right, but like these two contexts are very juxtaposed to me, you know? It's like, let's just look at what he did here to trigger this key change, you know? Like that kind of thing.
Well, and the synergy is really the unspoken communication. And I had it happen with a lot of people. I make some very esoteric music, some very odd stuff. And I've had many people that have been like, I would love to jam with you, man. I'd love to be it's like, oh, okay. If that's what you're into, but I'm here to tell you, like, it's a 20-minute long piece. We record it straight through, you know. So if we mess up or if you don't feel good about what we're doing, we're going to stop and we're going to start over.
Right.
And most of the time, like, I've only found one person that I was ever actually able to. Like jam with,
like straight jam
with my electronic music and stuff like that, because anytime I would do something with someone, normally by the end of it their eyes were really freaked out and they'd be like, what the hell was that?
No, this
man?
sounds terrifying. I want to jam with you now. This sounds exhilarating.
Literally, like the synergy, the electricity in the room of my just fully releasing myself to the moment, and letting things happen. They were not familiar with,
like Ross Geller on a keyboard.
And that's what when you get in a room, you know, like I call myself a facilitator,
exactly,
or the white space in the room.
Yep,
I'm the white space where things can bubble up, and we're going to work with that.
Yeah.
I don't have, you know, I have my information that I can apply to whatever they say. Your room is always going to tell you exactly what information they want to hear.
Yeah.
And if you're not attuned to that, if you're on your agenda, right,
exactly.
as usual,
yeah.
Exactly.
right, and they can feel that, and it's different for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when people come out of in fact, I just had a situation where I have a very dear friend of mine who is dealing with a very kind of critical, tragic situation with her grandchildren, and it's pretty dire, and she's writing me, telling me about this, and in an email, and she's saying, you know, I remember taking your workshops, you know, 15 years ago, and just the yes and, you know, working with my grandchildren, and makes them feel so validated.
Sure.
So validated. She said, I'm still using that. So, you know, when you get feedback like that, you know how powerful it is. And, you know, when you can facilitate something like that in a room full of people who pride themselves on knowing so much, you know, and are so competitive, and like they've trusted you to be in that room and do your work so they can do theirs, right? It's just really powerful, and the synergy that takes place lasts beyond that. You know, it lasts for a very long time.
Well, it's it's such a strange feeling that you just can't find that often. So you kind of get that endorphin rush. Does your husband does your husband do these with you? Do you guys do them like kind of tag team, or do you guys break up groups, or?
No, he has stayed in corporate America.
Oh, okay.
I'm really the one that that does it. Like he had the idea, and he was the main improv teacher when we had our theater, and he still maintained corporate America. So you know, he
Smart
uses and he is a very smart man.
He is actually.
He is actually, and he came up with like you said, with the idea, and it's kind of been our roles where, you know, he comes up with ideas, and I just put wheels on. I build the process around it, you know,
man.
and I really have a big wish that, you know, maybe someday he does do it with me, you know, because when we're on and we're a team, you know, it magic happens.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm really looking forward to the day when he can maybe do it with me.
I'd love to have a golden idea like that for my girlfriend, just because I've yet to have one. If we ask her, yeah, my ideas are mostly cartoon based.
One of the things that I've started recently with my podcast, because Dudes and Beer, the tagline is solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. And literally I started a series of episodes called Thinking Deeply, where literally you do take that moment during the week to sit back and pause and think about something. And I think so many times, even whether it's corporate America, whether it's life in general, like you were saying, there is so much noise going on. We don't have time to find that calm, still place and hear the tiny voice inside. Not the inner critic, but the inner cheerleader, the one that says, yeah, this is a good idea, this is something that you should go with. And, you know, a lot, and I say it a lot on my show, I know Amy says it on here, we are so entirely blessed to actually get, and I hear it all the time from people that I work with, like, oh, quit shooting sunshine up my ass. And I'm like, no, I'm serious, like, I'm blessed. I get to play with people's expensive toys all day. Like, I get to do what I love every single day of my life.
Yeah, you ask yourself that question all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do to be happy right now?
Yeah.
I'm going to go mess with this pedal or something.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
well, yeah. And it's either that or I'm out. Like, sure, there's some physical labor involved in pushing 100-pound cases across hotel carpet. But at the end of it, as opposed to the rock and roll days, I'm dealing with people who like thank me at the end of the day because they have no idea how, like, what I fed those magic elves in the box.
Totally,
to make it all happen. But that was the best show that we've ever had. Like, that was the best session that we've ever had in a breakout room. And that's what feeds me. That's what keeps me going. Now, what is it that, not only your passion, of course, that keeps you going, because you know, passion is a fire, and you definitely have to learn to, much like with properly tending a fire, you have to learn how to maintain that bed of embers. Because fire burns bright and intensely, but unless you have the bed of embers, it can be hard to start up another fire. How do you actually sustain yourself through the years? How have you actually kept yourself going? Because sure, there are going to be times where, hey man, is this really what I need to be doing? Like, we are constantly as artists reevaluating ourselves.
Are you just silent for like a month at a time sometimes, you know, like instead of communicating, just shut up?
No, not that. You won't catch me being silent that long. And what keeps me going is the, you know, especially over the years, I mean, this comes up a lot, the state of the world, right?
Sure.
And I totally believe that what I'm doing is teaching people to take care of other people.
Amen.
And what I also discovered is that, just like the old adage, you can't take care of other people until you take care of yourself.
Yep.
And the negative, like you talk about the inner critic, the negative self-talk that we feed ourselves is so, I mean, I've realized, especially talking to entrepreneurs, how abusive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how self-abusive
Yep.
we are.